One of the other new features in CS5 is inside of lens corrections. Okay, and really, the best thing that I can do is just show you exactly what I mean, because you're gonna see a lot of the difference in some automatic fixes that it can do when it comes to distortion and things like that, but also with vignettes and chromatic aberrations and whatnot. Basically, the Photoshop will now read your EXIF data on the image file. Okay, and it's going to look at the lens that was used, and generally there's going to be some type of a profile that it will automatically apply to fix things based on that lens. But again, let me show you kind of in practice here where it can be used. So we're going to go to View Rulers, and I'm going to just kind of zoom in on this photo here. So go ahead and open up the photo for the lesson. I'm going to zoom in on the photo and then just drag a guide down toward the top of the building here. And what I want to do is that guide is perfectly horizontal. And I want to show you what starts to happen here, because you'll see the guide touches the building at the top. Okay. But as you start to go over toward the side, it's not touching. And if I go over toward the other side, it's not touching there as well. So that is not the architectural design of this building. This is some distortion that's going on because of the lens that was used. So we're going to come up here to the filter menu. I'm going to come down to lens correction, which, by the way, it used to be under the distort menu. Lens correction is not new. It's been there for a while. It's just when we come inside of here, you're going to see that there's kind of a different area called auto correction, which is new. So by default, it's automatically going to correct geometric distortion. If you turn that off, you can see the difference. That's before, and that's after. Okay. The grid is also off by default, but you can turn it on, and you can change the grid size if you wanted to kind of get in here and see. And it'll kind of help you align things, and you can see where you are straight or where you're not straight, even if you have to go in there and start to do some custom tweaking and not. But we're going to turn the grid off for now. Chromatic aberration, we'll look at that in 1 second because I have to zoom in. But vignettes, it will also attempt to remove vignetting. All right, so turn that on and turn it off. While we're at it, if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see it tells me, camera model, Nikon D700 lens. So it's read all the data from this photo, and it knows what camera and what lens that I used. All right, and then it's got a profile over here for that lens and for that camera. All right, so let's take a look at chromatic aberration. Got to kind of zoom in on this one for you to really get a feel for what it's doing. But chromatic aberration, it's little fringes that will appear between high contrasty areas, like a dark area going into a light area. So we can remove these things inside of Camera Raw and whatnot. But if you haven't, you can also do it automatically here inside of the lens correction filter. When I turn it on, you'll see it kind of changes. Here's one down here. You'll see a little bit of redness down here. You still see a little bit, but there's a little bit of a green fringe over here. So let's turn it off and then back on. All right, so you should see a little bit of a change. And what Photoshop's trying to do here is just neutralize that little color fringe, okay? And then, of course, we have vignette as well. All right, so let's back out here. All right, so a couple other things, not necessarily of vital importance, but for the most part, there's going to be a lot of lens profiles available. So you generally shouldn't really have to change anything here, okay? Photoshop should read things for the most part, but however, if you like to get more kind of into it, you want to create your own profiles, you want to choose different profiles and whatnot, you'll see here that there's different camera makes, different camera models, all these different things. If you click on this little pop-out list, you can see Browse Adobe Lens Profile Creator online. And what that's going to do is take you to a website where you can actually download a profile creator, and you can create your own lens and camera profiles and things like that. Okay. But for the most part, at least the way I think most people are going to be using this is just to kind of try to take the automatic settings that it does, because it actually does a pretty good job with it. So we click OK here, and you can see it's done some adjustments to the photo. But if I were to zoom in here and I'll take this guide and move it, you'll see now it doesn't necessarily have that distortion. The edges don't kind of curl down as they did before. All right, so that's the new lens correction filter. One more time, if I come inside of here, because what I didn't show you, that's the auto correction. The custom area inside this is virtually unchanged. Okay, the custom area is what's existed inside of the lens correction filter for quite some time. That's not any different. The only changes here are going to be in that auto correction tab.